I'm outside the Serval area, according to the pamphlet. At 1 o'clock I've got a feed in, so see if we can catch this.
She's about 4 years old, and there's a bit of a story behind Venus. I'll get into that a little bit later on, but I'll tell you about servals first. So servals come from Africa. They're found in over 30 African countries, and they live in grassland areas as well as the moorlands. They're often mistaken for cheetahs. We do get often asked, where's the cheetah, where's the leopard? But they are a different species. They are a serval. Slightly smaller than a cheetah and not as fast. Servals can run quite fast. They can get up to about 50 miles an hour, but your cheetah is known to get up to around 70 to 80 miles an hour. So yeah, as I said, I've just gave her some chicks there. Servals are like any cat, they are obligate carnivores, they can only eat meat. So we like to try and reflect her natural diet as much as possible. We'll give her chicks, quail, we give her mice occasionally. She gets fish, so she's getting some fish tonight for a tea. And she also gets rabbit. So in the wild they would mainly eat rodents and birds, but they might also snack on something a little bit larger like a rabbit if they manage to get hold of it. So Venus has a few adaptations that help her to find that prey in the wild. And the first thing you might have noticed is her very large ears. So those ears can help her to listen out for any high frequency noises that rodents make. So a little mouse in the grass making a little high frequency squeak. Her ears help her to find that and to hunt it and grab it. Another adaptation that servals have are those very long legs. So they are the only cat whose legs are longer in comparison to their body. And she can jump very high, she can jump up to 12 feet high, hence the very high fence and the electric fence around the top. And she uses that ability to jump very high to catch birds as they fly over. So an unsuspecting bird flying across the grassland will get caught midway up in the air, 2 paws by a serval. And yes, unfortunately Venus has caught the odd sparrow that has ventured over her enclosure. She's still got those natural instincts in her. So yeah, she's just having a look around for any chicks that she's left. I can see a couple. So like I said, we would usually go in there and put her food in. We might tie it up if it's a rabbit, so then she has to pull it down. We might hide it in a Kong, so sometimes we put the chicks in some large Kongs, or some mice. Or sometimes we just hide it, so we can bury it in the sand, we can hide it under the rocks, and that kind of makes her use her brain and her muscles a little bit, like she would in the wild to find her food. And it gives her something to do as well. We do give her other toys as well, so she has got a blue Kong ball at the end. That's an indestructible ball, because cats can be a little bit destructible. You might have some at home, you know what they're like. Yeah, we give her Kongs. We sometimes tie stuff up, so anything that makes a noise, they tend to like that. But cats also love smelly stuff, so we might take some bedding from maybe the otters or anything smelly that lives on the zoo, and then put it in her enclosure and she'll have a good roll around in a sniff. We also use perfumes, herbs, anything with a bit of an odd smell to it. They love stuff like that. So as I said, these guys come from Africa, and unfortunately their populations are in decline over in Africa, especially in the Northern Territories, where we are starting to see less and less of them. And that is for a number of reasons. The first being humans. We are encroaching on their land, unfortunately, and getting closer and closer into the wild, building our towns and villages and roads. But we do also hunt servals, unfortunately, in Africa. They're a very pretty cat. So obviously their fur is kind of wanted by certain people, and they are hunted for that. They may also be seen as a pest to farmers and stuff, which is unfortunate because a serval won't be able to bring something like a cow or a sheep down, but obviously the farmers are just looking out for their livestock. They are sometimes mistaken for cheetahs as well, hence the spots. So yeah, I'll get into Venus's story a little bit now. So Venus came to us when she was about 6 months old. She's 4 years old now. Unfortunately, Venus was a victim of the illegal pet trade. Somebody was keeping her as a pet illegally in their home. Don't know why, can't think of any reason why you'd want an animal like that in your home, because they are quite dangerous and they do take a lot of looking after, very specialised animals. So we built with the council and the police, the zoo brought her to the zoo. We built this enclosure especially for her, so it's been designed especially for servals, trying to replicate a natural environment whilst keeping her safe and secure as much as possible. And we like to use Venus as an example of why we shouldn't kind of buy exotic pets without researching and without looking into it. A lot of people say cats and stuff are very attractive, especially exotic cats, attractive pets, but they do not make good pets. They take a lot of looking after, got very specialist behaviours that you've got to look out for, and as I said, they are quite dangerous. Please don't go in with Venus. She can be quite aggressive, even just through the fence she can be quite aggressive. This is why we've got the standoff, so she is a non-contact animal. But she's quite happy here now. She is by herself, but these guys are solitary, just like most cats are. The exception being lions, of course. In the wild, servals would come together only to breed. So males and females would meet up to breed, and then the offspring might stay with mum for a maximum of 2 years, just while they're becoming a little bit more independent. If anybody has any questions about servals or about Venus in particular, please feel free to come and ask me. I'll be hanging around for another 5 minutes. Thanks for coming today, guys, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your visit. Thank you. She's already been fed, yes. I think she's ate most of it.
She looks so cute. What's her name?
She's called Venus.
Venus. Let's take a baby. Am I really good?